In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the attribute editor. So the attribute editor is also on your right. By default, it might actually be open when you open a new scene in Maya, but if it's not, just click attribute editor right here. And similar to the channel box, if we don't actually have anything selected, there's nothing to see. So let's go ahead and let's make a sphere. And we can hit F and frame our sphere so we can just look at it. And notice now we have all of these tabs up here. So what do these things mean? So P-Sphere 1 is what's known as the actual transform node of the sphere. So this is the actual, similar to the channel box where we have these translate X, Y, and Z, and the rotate and the scale. This is the same set of numbers. So if we rotate that 90 degrees, notice that rotate X is set to 90 degrees. And if we change, let's see, it looks like that's hard to see. So let's change rotate Z to 90 degrees. And we'll go to the attribute editor. And look, rotate Z is now 90 degrees. We can do a couple other things that are, we can change the rotate order, which is important for rigging. You guys don't need to worry about that right now. We can custom set a pivot location if we so choose. We can make that 1, and then now our rotation pivot is up there. Same with the scale and the world rotate and scale pivots. So there's a local space and a world space rotate pivot. These are just offsets. You won't need to use those at this time, but that's what those things do. If we go to P-Sphere shape, this is actually the drawing of the sphere, and we just have a bunch of options. For the most part, I'm not going to cover these right now. They do a lot of different things for a lot of different reasons, and there's just a little too much to cover for a introductory lesson. As we move on in the class, we might start talking more about this as we need to, but right now, I'm just going to move on. We have Polysphere 1. This is the control for the sphere. This is the same as if we go to right here. It says inputs Polysphere 1, and we change our radius. So we change our radius to 1.4, and we go back to the attribute editor. Our radius is 1.4. We have the same controls here. And you don't need to worry about these other options right now. So then we have these two last ones called initial shading group. And there's this thing that says Lambert 1 that's plugged in here as surface material. And then we have Lambert 1 right here. So this Lambert 1 is the actual material applied to this sphere. And we can actually edit this and change its color. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot of other things that we can do that, we can make it slightly transparent. So now you can see through. A lot of these things we're not going to talk about too much, but if you'd like to create your own material, right now you can right click and then choose assign new material, and you'll get this little pop-up. And for now, let's stay in this favorites menu. These other 3 menus are going to be a little complicated for just the basics modeling. But if we choose Lambert or Lambert, I forget exactly which the pronunciation is. I think it's Lambert, or it could be Lambert. I don't know. We have now Lambert 2. And now we have Lambert 2 shading group. The SG stands for shading group. And now if we click back on our polysphere, notice that Lambert 2 is now on this guy. And if we make torus, we can, let's go to object mode, and we can assign existing material, Lambert 1 or Lambert 2. Let's make another new material. Go to Maya Lambert, and we'll make this this guy red. And so this would be how you could color your objects as you're modeling. It might be worth just applying some materials for visual difference. You know, if something's supposed to be red, you might as well just go ahead and make it red in the viewport, and that way, you know, it'll stand out and be a little easier for you to visually see what you're doing. And then you can kind of go in at the end and change your materials to something more final. You can apply the same material to 2 different objects or more. So if we go and assign existing material, I could choose Lambert 2, or I could choose Lambert 3. Lambert 3 is the same one here, and notice now as I change it, changes both of them. So every time that you do any kind of effect to a polygon object or any object in a scene, things will show up in the attribute editor. Like as you start using deformers and modeling operations, you'll actually start to see things piling up in here. And so the attribute editor is just where you go to modify the extra attributes that are on an object that you do not see in the channel box. So the channel box is much simpler to use, and the attribute editor is much more detailed and complicated. But this is where, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of your objects, this is where you would go. So that's a brief overview of the attribute editor.